Hi foodies, how you doing? I made some delicious pepper steak. I added a few, ingredients that you might not find in a typical pepper steak, but this was delicious. I used a cheap cut of beef, but this is so tender, so flavorful. So this is what I had. I had a piece of bottom blade roast, but I didn't want a roast. I wanted some, something simple and quick. So this is half frozen and I'm cutting against the grain and I'm doing some very thin slices. I find that when the beef is half frozen, it's easier to cut these very thin slices. So try to do that. Don't thaw it out completely and it will be easy to, kind of shave off the beef. It's very thin. You can cut away any fat that you don't want, but this is what you're going for. A very thin piece of beef. See? This is an inexpensive cut, okay? So what I'm going to do is tenderize it, but if you're using a cut of beef that isn't inexpensive or isn't tough, you don't have to do this. So what I'm doing is mixing some baking soda with water, and we call this a velveting. This is what we're going to be pouring on the beef. We're going to let it sit for about 30 minutes and it's going to tenderize the beef. If you're using a very cheap, tough cut of beef, you want to let it sit in the fridge for longer than 30 minutes, maybe 1 to 2 hours. Okay, so massage that into the beef and then we're going to refrigerate it. Just 30 minutes should do, because I've cut this very, very thin. So even though it's a cheap cut of beef, it won't be too tough because of these thin slices. Now remember that you can season this however you like. Today I did oil, soy sauce. I added some cornstarch and some all-purpose seasoning. You could use beef seasoning, steak seasoning, oxtail seasoning, whatever you like. I did end up adding a little bit of browning later on just to, add a little color, and just mix everything together. And that beef, after it tenderizes, you want to rinse it completely and drain it, then add it to your marinade. Okay? So this beef has been tenderized because remember I set it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. It's very tender. Then I rinsed it completely with some cold water, drained it, and then I seasoned it. Okay? I let the beef marinate for at least 30 minutes. And then make sure you have your hot pot with oil in there, really hot, over about medium heat. You're going to add onions and bell peppers. Cut them however you like, okay? You can cut them in chunks or slices. But I like to use, a lot of colors. It's just more attractive that way, But if all you have is one type of bell pepper at home, use what you have. You know what I always say, right? Just use what you have, right? So you want to cook this for about a minute. They are still firm, still vibrant. Set them aside, and the same pan, you're going to add your beef, but make sure the oil is hot. Okay? Now, because these slices are very thin, they tend to get clumped together. So you're going to loosen everything and let them hit the surface of the pan or the wok, whatever you're using. Once you see them getting some color, then you can start moving them around. Okay? So remember, let them hit the surface of the pan or the wok, and then you can toss them around. Cook them until there are no traces of pink or red. All right? Then you're going to set them aside. After you've cooked the beef, you might see, a lot of oil in the pan. All you need to do is just drain off some of that oil. See, there's a lot of oil there. Just drain it off, but leave some in the pan, okay? So the beef and the peppers and onions are set aside. You're going to be using the same pan to cook up some garlic and ginger. You can slice the garlic and ginger, you can grate it, you can mince it, whatever you prefer. Just cook it until fragrant, all right? And you can do this over a medium heat. Then right here, I have some ketchup and Grace fish and meat sauce. If you can't find the Grace fish and meat sauce, you could probably use pick a pepper. I always recommend that. or you could use some Worcestershire sauce or steak sauce. All right, but I'm used to this in my Jamaican cooking, so that's why I'm using that. Okay. Then you want to add some hot water, a Scotch bonnet pepper. You can dice it, slice it, put it in whole, whatever you prefer. Then add some fresh thyme and scallion or green onions diced. I'm adding some black pepper here. Then I'm adding some ground pimento. Yes, I put some pimento grains in this and I'm just getting that freshly ground allspice in there. If you don't have that, just crush some pimento seeds, okay? And then you're going to bring this up to a simmer. Once it's up to a simmer, it's going to be looking even nicer. I add some soy sauce. And then if you want to thicken it, you can go ahead and add some kind of thickener that you like, whether it's flour, cornstarch, arrowroot, whatever you're comfortable with. And that's only if that's if you want to thicken the gravy. All right. Then you're going to add that beef back to the pan and allow this to simmer because you want the beef to take on that flavor of the gravy. You want the whole thing to just mesh together. So remember, the beef is cooked already. So you just add that, add your peppers, and let this simmer just to come together. Simmer it for at least 2 minutes, okay? Before you serve it, give it one last taste. Make sure you're happy with the gravy, and then you can serve it up nice and hot. It is succulent, it's juicy, it is tender, it's flavorful. The colors are beautiful. Trust me, this is just one of those easy but satisfying dishes. What would you have this with? Would you have it with rice or mashed potatoes? Tell me what you guys would have this with. As usual, please remember to check the description box below the video for that list of ingredients for when you want to go grocery shopping, okay? All you have to do is tap the word more. Sometimes YouTube changes it, but at this point, all you need to do is tap that word more and it'll open up the description box for you. Okay, it's right below the video title. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.